Sometimes I describe the areas of legal practice that I participate in as at the crossroads of law and social work. I have no professional training in social work. I have plenty of training in the law, but I have a lifetime of dealing with people. My own family, child growing up, seeing the circumstances involved with my grandmother. My father had a debilitating illness. He had Lou Gehrig's disease. And my mother, in later years, suffered a rapid case of dementia. Really, she had a precipitous drop quickly, and from being very well to being unwell. And those circumstances have shaped the way I practice. The humanity that I bring to it, the empathy. I first coined that phrase when I was doing family court work. I represented children and the indigent in all areas of family court practice: custody, visitation, child neglect, family offenses, some support matters, juvenile delinquency cases. It's a broad spectrum. It was a heavy litigation practice in court 4 or 5 days a week for weeks and months and years on end. And it really shaped a significant part of the way that I am able to practice. I listen to people. I understand the facts of their case. I can absorb the emotions that go along with it and then prepare for trial. And as I shifted a number of years ago, I'd say at this point, at least 2010 is when I started heavily getting into guardianship. So that's 14 years ago. And I did some guardianship before that, but that's when I made it a large focus of my practice: guardianship and estate planning with an elder law focused view. Right? So guardianship is not a practice that deals exclusively with the elderly. It deals with adults, but that population, guardianship population, skews older because that's when we have the onset of dementia and Alzheimer's and those diseases of civilization. But in the estate planning practice, it's very similar. We think about what we have in our life, what we want to protect, who we want to protect, and what we want to preserve. And that's where we are. The crossroads of really law and human relationships. How do I make sure that my property goes to the specific people that I want it to go to? Number one, get an estate planning attorney. You want to make sure that the documents that actually take your wishes and put them into writing are done correctly and accurately. So you really don't want to use a Staples will or do it your own, or try and handwrite something that's probably going to be ineffective and cause fighting. And if you don't have the proper estate plan, or documents are missing, or they're incorrectly filled out, or something is incomplete, or you didn't put something in, or forgot to take something out, some error, and there's multiple places that an error could occur, well, then you're going to leave the asset allocation, what you have, to go where it wants, pursuant to the court's direction. So if you don't have an effective, or if you have a defective estate plan, the court will become involved, and the court will either rule on what you wrote in your agreement, or the court will resort to intestate planning. So one of the reasons people use an estate plan, among many, is to give a specific allocation. So I want to give this person 20% and that person 40%, this person 30%, and then the other person 10%. It's 100. You can do that with an estate plan. You cannot do that with the laws of intestacy. So the laws and the rules take over. I had a circumstance the other day where a niece came to my office and thinks that her uncle that was not married, no children, that her uncle left a will for her, left some type of distribution for her benefit. She didn't have access to the house. The other side of the family locked up the house. What to do? Locate the will? Big question mark. Go to court to compel the production of the will? Go to maybe past attorneys that the gentleman had used and say, did you ever prepare a will for this person? It's a difficult process. How do you make sure that this gentleman got what he wanted to go to his niece? Well, you need an effective plan, not defective. You need an estate planning attorney. Then you need to safeguard that will until the time it needs to be used. If you need assistance, if you need a way to get there, it's always easier to do things right. It's not always easier, but it's best to do things right rather than to try and correct mistakes. Ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.